Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now the very first day of April, and of course we are getting closer to The Mandalorian Season 3, Chapter 22, which also is going to have a different tone in comparison to past episodes by John and Dave. And exactly, on top of that, a lot of fans are also looking forward to Star Wars Celebration, which, by the way, unfortunately is dialing back on some of the announcements and saving a lot of them for D23. We talked about this last week. And so I think that's a really good marketing move because it kind of keeps fans interested throughout the year of what's to come and to be announced. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future Star Wars updates. I'm also on Twitter at Mike01. I thank you all so very much for the great and kind support. Now, the thing about today has a lot to do with Bob Iger discussing Kathleen Kennedy, responding to the whole plan to fire her by this August, and a lot of other different aspects that have been falling into the hands of Disney right now. Now, as you all know, Disney has been going through a lot of trouble, not just with Star Wars, Marvel, but also with Indy 5, The Dial of Destiny. Alright, we know that they did some very last-minute reshoots, very minor reshoots, nothing too substantial, with the opportunity to do more if need be. But other than that, they really are trying to turn things around for both Marvel, Star Wars, and of course, Indiana Jones. That's exactly why they reportedly canceled the Indiana Jones series, by the way, because they want Lucasfilm to strictly focus on Star Wars, and that's it. That's exactly also why they canceled Willow as well. Now, on to the next big thing, alright? Bob Iger had a couple of things to say after he was questioned about Kathleen Kennedy losing her leadership and getting kicked out of Lucasfilm, essentially, and really calling it a day. Now, Bob Iger had a couple of things to say on top of all of that, but with many new changes coming from Disney to Lucasfilm. In a recent interview that Bob Iger got involved in, he was questioned about firing Kathleen Kennedy, where he went on to tease the following. Well, look, I mean, we here at Disney, and we always see a change of leadership in the film industry, and with this new age of streaming, the rate of these changes are absolutely going to speed up, and in our case with Lucasfilm, we feel that we need to remain open to who we will want to run all things Star Wars for the years to come, that is willing to do the right approach for the community, and that's something that we are looking into every single day. Kathy has been with us for a very long time now, and it's sometimes change is needed in order for a franchise as big as this one to evolve in the way for the fans needed in order for a franchise to really kind of bring it to the way that they want it. Now, he goes on to elaborate further by stating, and sometimes change is needed in order for that to happen. What I am so proud of is that we have a long list of people that would love to fill in this position, and we are looking at our top list of who can take the mantle and drive Star Wars into something truly spectacular. It's always our goal to do what's right with the franchise, and I will admit we made some mistakes along the way throughout the past 10 years, and that is the best way to learn from your fan base. The amount of criticism that we have gotten from the fans really gave us an open view that perhaps it's the time that we expand to new leadership to handle something that is so complex that needs to understand this brand through and through. Now, let me stop here for 1 second. Now, Bob Iger kind of made a similar statement a couple of weeks ago about gaining new leadership and how it's the best way to kind of keep things fresh, change things up, and evolve a specific brand. He also talked about how they will be focusing more so on quality-driven projects rather than quantity, which is why he began to question everything with Marvel, and especially Star Wars. In Marvel's case, he's like, well, do we really need a 4th or 5th sequel of certain brands? Maybe not. Maybe we should just focus on, maybe 2 or 3 films per brand, and then move on to something else. So, in Star Wars' case, it could very well be something as simple as, well, do we really need this many seasons for one particular show, or should we focus on many different shows in a limited fashion, and if need be, we could expand beyond that to make it a multi-season show. That's kind of like what they did already with Ahsoka, and even though it never came out yet, it was originally a limited show, let's not forget about that, and now it has been promoted to a multi-season series. So there is a season 2 in the works by John and Dave, but I digress. What he is pointing out here is crucial because this is most certainly talking about how there needs to be new leadership that's going to understand Star Wars through and through, like he says, to really kind of propel the brand into a brand new time. Now, this brand new time is the streaming era, alright? We know that streaming is a big thing in the 2020s. It is the thing. A lot of people are watching things at home rather than the movies. I know and understand that Avatar, The Way of Water, and Top Gun 2, Maverick kind of changed that up a little bit, but we're not quite there just yet, alright? We need a couple of more hits to really bring everybody back to the theaters. So anyways, past this, he goes on to actually elaborate further, of course, that it's all about quality over quantity when it comes to Star Wars. Now, separate from what Iger stated, the plan to fire Kennedy is still underway and to replace her with producer Dana Brunetti, who is still the top candidate to replace her as the president of Lucasfilm. Now, in the meantime, more executives have been getting, of course, fired from Disney themselves as of late in the latest shakeup between Iger and, of course, the executives over the Marvel and Star Wars brand, as well as the parks. In addition to the Kennedy, of course, situation and how she's having a lot of trouble with Indy 5, with some last-minute reshoots that have been taking place behind closed doors to tweak some of Harrison Ford's scenes, something that Disney was very unhappy about. Now, we know that Indy 5, The Dial of Destiny, is due for release this June, and regardless if it's going to be good or bad, I am willing to go ahead and see it to see exactly what it's going to be like on the big screen, and how this really could very well be Kathleen Kennedy's last-ditch effort to save her legacy that may turn out to be a very good thing for her or a very bad thing for her. And so far, it hasn't really been sounding too optimistic when it comes to Indy 5. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But the thing that I really want to focus on here today is what Bob Iger really had to point out about how basically it's all about expanding the leadership to evolve a specific brand. And that's true because, let's face it, Kathleen Kennedy is no Star Wars fan. She does not know Star Wars. She doesn't know anything about the franchise like the fans do. Sure, she may know that Luke is the son of Vader or some simple stuff like that, right? But she doesn't really understand the philosophy of it, how it works, and where it's supposed to be placed in specific ways. The big problem that Iger is facing right now is that he is actually on the edge of getting fired by 2024. So for him, it really is a race against time, of course, between himself and the Disney board, who, by the way, has been very unhappy with him about what he did to Disney Star Wars, what he did to the Disney parks, what he did with Ant-Man, Quantumania, and the Wasp, and the marketing for that movie, stuff like that, alright? So obviously, there's a lot of problems that Iger is dealing with, and Quantumania, by the way, was a big hit over at Disney, and not in a good way, obviously. They really lost a lot of money on that film. Did not perform well at the box office as originally broadcasted or projected. Their numbers fell completely below their expectations, and so where it stands today is that Bob Iger basically has to perform well for the remainder of 2023 for the board to think differently for 2024. Regardless, though, Iger is looking to actually step down as CEO by 2024, regardless. Anyways, guys, fill me in below in the comments what you guys have to say about all of this, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.